Okay, guys, so 5.5 for the honors class, 4.5 for Math 7, okay? So with this one, we're going to factor expressions. It says, how does the distributive property relate to factoring expressions? Okay, guys, the thing is, this is just the distributive property in reverse, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how to do this two different ways, and I want you to pay special attention how I'm doing it, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to look at how many different terms I have here. So I have a negative 4x, and I'm going to divide that, and a negative 28. Now, I can do this two different ways. I want the greatest common factor between these numbers. So in other words, 4 and 28. The common factor between this would be 4. I can divide each one of these by 4. Okay? So that 4, these two 4s, are going to come on the outside. Then I'm going to go through and divide it. This becomes a negative x. 4 divided by 4 is 1, negative x. 28 divided by 4 is negative 7. So that is one way I can do it. I'm just finding that greatest common factor. However, the other way I could do this is pretty much the same, except for I'm going to actually factor out the negative also. Do you see that? So in other words, negative divided by negative. So I'm going to take that negative 4 and put it on the outside. Now you've got to cancel this out and this out, so we only end up with x. Remember, when we divide a negative by a negative, we get a positive, and then 28 divided by 4 is 7. So that's my second way of going through and factoring that. Okay, guys? And that's straight off of example 2. Okay, let's look at the next one. Example 3. Okay, so we've got a little bit larger expression. I've got 6x minus 18 minus 12y. Now, when I do this, I'm going to actually factor it with a negative factor. So first thing I want to do is, how many terms do I have? Well, I have a 6x, I have a negative 18, and I have negative 12y. I want to check first, even though it's not part of this lesson, but I would still be checking, can I combine any of these terms? I cannot, because these two have different variables, and this one does not have a variable. Now, when I look at this, the first thing I see is that I can divide each one of these by 6. However, the problem in example 3 wants you divided by a negative factor, so I'm going to go negative on each one of these. Okay, so that means this number is what comes out on the outside. Then I'm going to put a parenthesis. Now, this at this point is just your regular division problems. 6 divided by negative 6 is going to be a negative, and I could put a negative 1, but I don't need to. It's just negative x. Okay? Then the next one is the negatives cancel each other out, so we're going to get a positive, and then 18 divided by 6 is 3. Okay? Then we have the same thing here. The negatives cancel each other out. That gives us a positive, and then we have 12 divided by 6, which is 2, and then do not forget the variable. Okay? Now, if I'm going to be absolutely correct on this, just being ridiculously picky about it, I need these in the correct order. So in other words, they're going to go alphabetically, and then they're going to go the number. So I would actually go negative 6. Now, be careful with this. We've got these 3 right here, right? So this would still be a negative x, but then it would be a plus 2y, and then a plus 3. That's the actual answer right there. Okay, guys? Like I said, pause it if you need to, write things down, ask me questions in class if you don't understand it. Okay, now here's our bonus one. Okay, now the reason I did this one is because they didn't talk about this too much in the problems, and I wanted you guys to see this. So this is the same thing. I'm still going to factor it. Okay, so I look at this, I realize I have two terms. Okay, but here's the thing. Not only can I go through and factor out the 7, So a 7 on each one of these, right? But I actually can factor out the x also. See, I can factor out a variable if both of the terms have it. They both have x, so I can factor out that x. So this goes primarily the same way. 7x, right? Then I put the parentheses, okay? Now the x's cancel each other out. Anything over itself is 1, so it's gone, okay? And we're in multiplication here. 21 divided by 7 is 3, okay? Now I'm going to do the same thing here. This is a positive, right? The x's cancel each other out. 56 divided by 7 is 8. And then don't forget to put the y down there. Now, like I said, and I'm going to show you again, if I were being absolutely picky, it should actually be like this. The 8y should come first. See the two terms, they need to be switched. This is absolutely the correct answer. Okay, guys, so hopefully it wasn't too difficult. Hopefully you guys are getting through this well. Let me know if you have any questions when you come to class. Take good notes and remember to turn them in.